Hello, and how are you? And welcome to this session. My name is Reverend Jide Macaulay. I am the founder and CEO at House of Rainbow, an organization that started in 2006 in my native country, Nigeria. And today I want to talk about HIV, and I want to talk about living with HIV. And I hope that some of the things that I will share with you today will resonate with you and hopefully will help some of you. In 2003, January 2003, I was diagnosed with HIV. So many people who are diagnosed with HIV often think that this is going to be the end of their life. Usually the pattern of stigmatizing and feeling ashamed and guilty, a high level of denial, and of course, discrimination. So the way that I'm going to look at it or share with you is HIV diagnosis in itself is actually not a bad thing. It is discovering that there are the HIV virus in your body. It is not going to kill you. It is not a death sentence. It is actually the stigma and the lack of treatment that will actually trigger off a lot more prejudice, and it will make things difficult for you. That's what I'm trying to say. So first of all, if you're diagnosed with HIV, the first thing that you should do is to ask questions about treatment. There are treatments today around the world, regardless of where you are, and most of the treatments are offered completely free of charge. What you should do immediately is to, obviously, hopefully the clinic where you get your result from will be able to tell you, or if you do the home testing kit and you find out that you're positive, do get the test done again. That is so important so that at least you are reassured. If the test is finally positive, then you need to be on treatment. Today, it is test and treat. So in the olden days, you get tested and then they wait and see what happens and so on. And sometimes that might lead to complication. It is test and treat. And any city around the world, we have an HIV clinic where you can get treatment almost immediately. Now, of course, I would recommend that you also find somebody, even if it's one person, that you can talk to about your diagnosis. It is very, very important that you talk to somebody. But I would definitely recommend a counselor or a therapist, someone who has some skills in HIV itself. And of course, if you are gay or LGBT or any of the marginalized communities, please find people or communities that understand the LGBT community. Otherwise, you might be faced with prejudice and discrimination if you talk to just about anybody outside of those communities. I'm not saying that everyone outside the community will treat you badly, but it is important that you talk to somebody that know exactly how to counsel and how to support gay or men who have sex with men who are HIV positive. Now, of course, the other important point for me is also peer support. I have been running peer support now for many years, but more importantly, I started one peer support in 2009 that still remains up to today on the platform WhatsApp. It's very healthy and people are very respectful of everyone. And for me, it is a place where you can truly and honestly just be yourself. Now, it is still anonymous. If you want to join that support group, which is on WhatsApp, just, text me a message and remind me and let me know what your condition is. But at the same time, we continue to practice a high level of privacy and confidentiality because not everybody is comfortable. Not everybody lives in an area that is safe for them. Some people still live in hostile regions as well. Now, of course, the other big issue around your diagnosis is that once you start your medication, it's advisable that you do not stop your medication under any circumstances. Do not stop your medication. Of course, people say you can miss a day or 2 days. If it becomes a habit, you will compromise your treatment. And there are multiple treatments in different places, but if you're in countries where your treatment is limited, once they try one line of treatment with you and you mess that up or you complicate that, it will be difficult to get you onto another line of treatment. So in countries where there is only fewer line of treatment, if they start you on a medication it is important that you adhere, that you take it regularly so that your body will adjust and will communicate with that particular medication. The HIV drug has got better. And I think living well with HIV is also very possible. I have been living with HIV for the past 18 years. And, I feel blessed. I feel that, I have control of my life. So the other important thing is also disclosure. HIV treatment these days, you don't have to disclose to anybody apart from those who are taking care of you in the medical field. And of course, if you're part of a support group, I think it's just good for you to share with somebody what medication you're on and how you're taking it, because you will hear other people's stories as well about how they're getting on with their own medication. But you don't have to disclose to people outside of your treatment or support circles. I think this is important, especially for many of us who are in hostile regions or living at home with family who do not know about our HIV status. The reason I say do not disclose is because the people you're disclosing to may not have the knowledge or the capacity to process the fact that you live with HIV. And this is where stigma is more likely. Also ostracism and rejection. And I don't want to theologize this, but, for many of us who are gay, they tell us that God is punishing us with HIV. It is not true. Unfortunately, HIV is a virus, it's a disease that is out there, and it's not just through sexual contact alone. People can get HIV through sharing of needles. There is still, contact infection from mother to baby. If the mother is not treated during pregnancy for the HIV infection, the baby is more likely to get the HIV virus. But of course, if the mother is receiving treatment during her pregnancy or all the part of her pregnancy, the child is more likely not to be HIV positive. So that's actually good news to some extent. So disclosure is obviously an area that is very important. You don't have to disclose, but of course, where you need to disclose, make sure that the people you're disclosing to are people that are most likely to support you and stand in the gap with you in all times. Okay, so treatment is very, very important. You must continue your treatment. As soon as you diagnose and you're placed on treatment, stay with your treatment. Your medical team will advise you for the time that is good for you, or you choose the time that is good for you. Sometimes you might have to take your drug in the morning or in the evening, or actually any time of the day, but you have to be consistent. So I take my drug at 8 p.m. every day. So I stick to that 8 p.m. every single day. But some of the things I've also said to people that I support is, how about if I couldn't take my drug at 8 p.m.? How about if I only get a chance to take it at 6 p.m.? What is important is that you take your drug 2 hours gap between the time you set for yourself. The reason because it's a circle. The HIV drug continues to roll in circles and it continues to take care of you all the time. So I usually will take my drug sometime between 6 and 8 or between 8 and 10. So usually I do not miss those gaps at all. So it's important. And of course, if you miss one day or even up to 3 days, it's okay. But my advice is for you not to miss those drugs at all. These are life-saving drugs. And of course, the treatment is important, like I said, and you need to adhere to your medication. After about 6 months of you being on treatment, when you go for your blood test and the analysis of your treatment, you should be hearing your doctor telling you that you are now undetectable. Undetectable means that the viral load has been suppressed, okay? Your viral load has been suppressed. It means, just imagine that the HIV virus is being arrested and they're being locked down in jail. That is what your medication is doing to your blood cells, to the viral load in your body. It is suppressing it so that it does not amount to infection. So now is the time that we are told medically that we can no longer pass on the virus in our sexual activities with others. But it doesn't mean that we stop protecting ourselves, because there are other sexually transmitted diseases out there. Syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea are still very active, but they are treatable by antibiotics. So it is important that you continue to protect yourself, even though you cannot pass on the virus. So it means that you choose carefully and wisely your sexual partners and your sexual contacts. Okay. So treatment is important because you will achieve what is popularly known as U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. And this is good news for everybody, whether you're heterosexual or whether you're gay. I mean, for heterosexuals or indeed anyone else that want to have children, it also means that you can have children, you can procreate without the fear of passing on HIV to your children, okay? Or even to the mother of your children, okay? Now, the other reality, and of course, if the woman was the one that is HIV positive, they can have a relationship with a man who is HIV negative. It is very, very possible. Now, of course, too often, when it comes to issues of disclosure as well, it always feels that the burden is on the people living with HIV to always tell. I mean, you don't have to tell people you're HIV positive. It is the responsibility of everybody to know their HIV status, whether they are HIV positive or they're HIV negative. It is important that everybody know their status. So I'm always encouraging everybody to test for HIV. Even if the result is negative, at least you know. It is better to know. Now, of course, HIV impacts many parts of our lives, right down to our mental health and emotional well-being, okay? So it's not to say that people with HIV have more of this. It means that, we have a lot to process, we have so much on our minds, and this may impact our mental health and our emotional well-being. So it is important that first you obviously make yourself available or have access to counseling and therapy in your local community. There are people that are able to talk to you about it in peer support or even a specialist counselor. Pastoral care and support is important. Not necessarily for people of faith, because people think that pastoral care is for pastors. No. Pastoral care is the fact that somebody is looking after you, your well-being, your mindset, and so on and so forth. And of course, if somebody in your religious community has the ability, the capability, and the expertise around HIV and other forms of care, that would be great as well. At House of Rainbow, we provide all of these services. Now, it is important that you also remain very positive. I know that not many people like to exercise, but walking, going for a walk is good. You understand me? Walk some of the distance and make your health good, walk, make sure that your breathing is right, and so on and so forth. And of course, people also want to talk about diets. What's going to happen to my diet? You don't have to stop you don't have to stop eating all the things that you love eating, but everything has to be in moderation. So if you realize that you're overweight, then you need to moderate, your eating so that your weight is under control. If you're obviously a slim person, naturally it's okay. Just continue to eat as you normally would eat. And of course, increase your diet. You can improve your diet. You can have more fruit and vegetables, more high fiber, the things that will help you to digest and make all your functions to work well, okay? So in many places, you actually get to see your doctors like between 3 to 6 months. I mean, if everything is fine, every 6 months. It's only when you go to the doctor, you have your blood test done, and then they give you your medication, you go about your way and your business. This does not interact at all with your life at all in any way or form, right? So daily exercise is good, a good diet and nutrition is good. And of course, it is important that you have a life and work balance as well. Don't overwork yourself. Don't get to a point where you start to forget things. A lot of anxiety now creeps into your life. Now, of course, being diagnosed with HIV, I know that many people will be afraid to have sex again, but it is not so. You can still have sex. Your libido is not going to disappear. You will still have anxiety. You get horny. That's all part of being natural as well. So just be mindful about, what your sexual activities are. And of course, make sure that you enjoy and have pleasure. These are part of the gift of God. It's part of the gift of humanity to you. So do not deny yourself. But it is important that you consider what works for you. what contraception works for you. It is also important that if you're having sex, make sure that it's safer sex. You can also use condoms and make sure that you have enough lubricants for those who have penetrative sex or vaginal sex, okay? Just make sure that you look after yourself. And also, the information about HIV is very important. Make sure that you get your information from reliable sources. There are many people that have contacted me about, oh, there is this man or this person that is telling me there is a cure for HIV. There is no cure for HIV at this present time, at least at the time that I'm making this video with you. There is no cure for HIV, but there are good news that HIV might move from taking drugs to injectable, that means to injections, but that is still obviously under research, but we're hoping that things will get better. The world is filled with scientists that are making progress, you know, for many of us. Of course, we all want to see a cure to HIV, but right now, there is no cure for HIV. Don't let any religious leader or pastor tell you that there is a cure for HIV, that you should abandon your drugs and have faith in God. The faith in God is also in the miracle of the ARV, in the miracle of the medication that you're taking. So please do not become a victim of circumstances. Okay, now the other thing is that when people get diagnosed with HIV, they often feel that life is over for them. Life is not over. When I got diagnosed with HIV, I thought the same as well. I thought that my life is over and I'm going to die. But the moment I'm on treatment and things were getting better, I started to realize that my dreams are on the goal. I continue to achieve my dreams. Let me tell you one thing, right? When I was diagnosed with HIV, I had at 2 degrees at the time. I have since had an additional degree. I've traveled many places. I've achieved many things I want to achieve. I'm a priest. I'm an Anglican priest, full ordained priest in the Church of God. So your HIV status does not take away your dreams and your vision. Please stay focused, okay? But you still need to take your medication. Don't forget about it. You know, you can also travel around the world. It is very important that I say that. You can travel to many places, but unfortunately, there are many countries that have restrictions against people living with HIV. So you might be mindful of those ones. You know, there are a few countries, but mostly in the Middle East. It's rather unfortunate. But I think what I can say to you is that there are many more countries that do not discriminate against people living with HIV. It is a global issue, and many countries around the world are dealing with it together with the rest of the world. And of course, please do not give up on your goals or your dreams. If you've always wanted to be a medical doctor, a nurse, an accountant, a pilot, and all of those things, being HIV positive does not stop you from achieving all of your dreams to the highest maximum level that you can. Please don't give up, whatever you do. And of course, you know, finally, I think I've already mentioned one of them. You know, at House of Rainbow, we support men who have sex with men, you know, who are gay, bisexual, or trans men who are HIV positive. We have a community at House of Rainbow that we call Proudly Positive Peers. We meet on WhatsApp, we support each other, and this is very important to me and to many people in that group. We also have a service we call Accountability Partners. The idea of Accountability Partners is to support people. We have this program where we match 2 people together. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, we match 2 people together so that they can befriend each other, and talk to each other about medication and remind each other, you know, about their treatment as well. So this to me is very, very important. You can follow us on all social media handle, House of Rainbow, on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course on our internet webpage as well, on House of Rainbow's webpage. So if you find any of our social media, we also have a Linktree link where you can find out more about all of the other programs that we're doing or developing. And of course, if you want to be part of House of Rainbow, you're more than welcome. We do a lot more work beyond just HIV support and treatment. And I hope that this has been very useful to you. And do take care of yourself and stay safe, and God bless you.